What's up, guys? It is JZNES back again. Today we're talking about quite possibly one of the greatest games ever made, and definitively one of my favorite games of all time. My second favorite game of all time, that is. And the coolest game of its time. Sorry, Ocarina of Time and all you other 98 and 7 and 90s games in general. Like, dude, when this game came out, and I'll get into it, this was the coolest game at that time. Fuck. Okay, I knew I forgot something. Hold on. We're doing this live. Screw it. Of course, I mean, okay, just look at all this fucking shit. Look at all of this fucking shit. And you expected me to not remember everything. It's not everything either. I mean, this is... I have a quiet figurine that I showed off in my Metal Gear 5 video over there or whatever. This is actually kind of important. Oh, fuck. I knew this was gonna happen. My first exposure to Metal Gear Solid was this demo disc right there, and you can see the screenshot right here of Snake in like the first area there, one of the first areas anyway. That's kind of like the area past the heliport. What do you call that? I don't know, tank hangar, is that it? The tank hangar area, right? You know, it says on the front there Metal Gear Solid on over here on this side. I played this demo disc to absolute death, just like the Tomba one. And I actually played some of the other games on here a lot too, like Medieval, and even Tomb Raider 3 a little bit. The Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped demo I played a good amount of, but probably the most Medieval, and then the very most was Metal Gear Solid. I didn't touch Gran Turismo much, but I remember it being on there. Also, there was... one of the other racing games was on here. I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was Gran Turismo, so... yeah, I remember having Gran Turismo on both of these demos. Apparently that was really important for them to do or something, so... but yeah, definitely this was my first exposure. Thank you, Pizza Hut, for making my life. Maybe that's why I like your pizza and I'm loyal to your brand. It's because you introduced me to Metal Gear Solid, the definitive game here. Okay, this is great. Okay, God, I'm gonna be all over the place. The fucking music in this game is legendary. Just saying. Here, let's turn that up. That's good shit right there. They're gonna loop it. I'm sure this is the one where they loop it, because I don't know why they loop it, but you just need to play it once, and then don't start it over. Just keep doing this. Like, that's all you gotta do with the music. Anyway. So, yeah, basically because of this, like, contest or whatever the fuck, because of this demo disc, I was introduced to my second favorite game of all time. Actually, because of fucking Sony. I mean, okay, this makes more sense, you know, like... but isn't it odd just to think, like, because of Pizza Hut, I was introduced to one of the coolest games ever. I mean, this makes sense, because this was, like, you know, we owned a PlayStation, so, like... yeah, see, it loops. It's just... whatever. Anyway, so, like, I don't know if you got this with, like, the magazine or whatever. I always thought that's how that worked, but I don't know. I'll have to ask my brother how we got this, I guess, sometime here. I know, well, obviously we got this with Pizza Hut pizza at some point or something to that effect, I'm sure. It's not for resale, it says there on the back, but not that you can see that, but it's just funny. Anyway, so yeah, because of this, I mean, that's why I'm so nostalgic about both of these demo discs, by the way, because Tomba, Metal Gear Solid, two of my favorite fucking games of all time. The demos that I played for them to death. And actually, when Metal Gear Solid came out, I was so hyped because of this demo disc, because I played it again and again and again, and I'd watch my brother play it and stuff. I was already so hyped for the game that I remember when he, like, rented it one time, or maybe he just got it, I don't know. But it was, like, the first time he had his hands on it, and I'll never forget this. And the only reason I think rented, because I had rented a thing too, which was some Ninja Turtles cartoon or something. I remember this, because it was like, the night that maybe it was like one of the, whenever we got our hands on the game, when he got his hands on the game, I'm like, oh dude, I want to watch that, because like, you know, just like Resident Evil and all those other, Silent Hill and all those other games like that. And then it was like, no, you can't watch this. This is M-rated. You gotta go watch your Ninja Turtles or whatever the fuck. And I just would hear it in the other room, and I'm just like, God damn it! I want to be watching Metal Gear Solid because I played the demo. I want to know what happens. You know, it's fucking DARPA chief dies or whatever at the end of the demo, and you're like, what's going on? Like, speaking of the demo, I mean, this is a pretty good demo. It's a very good. It's the first few areas of the game up until the DARPA chief dies. No boss fights or anything, so that's interesting. There are some interesting things about the demo, and I'm going to talk about like a few little things I discovered in the game. I'm still discovering things 22 fucking years later. I'm still discovering things in the actual game. God damn it, VR missions. Just fucking falling over. Here, we'll set VR missions there. Can you still see? Yeah, well, okay, but then it covers up shit. Whatever. Fuck it. You saw it. It's there. This is the HD collection. That's the Metal Gear 3. I'll go over all this later. Anyway. So... What was I saying? Okay, so yeah. Actually, so some interesting things about the demo. And I'm pretty sure this is accurate. Because I know that I definitely... Yeah, okay. So in the demo, and maybe in the actual game, I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe, I never go back to that first area. At the heliport... In the demo, I don't know how I made this happen or whatever, but if you go to like one of the further areas and then you come back, the Nikita missile launcher will be in the thing where you get the SOCOM pistol in the back of the truck there. And I remember finding this one time and it was like, what the fuck? How is this here or whatever in the demo or whatnot? So that's interesting. It's just a little thing there. Yeah, and there's a lot of things that you can't really do in the demo because it's all locked off, because you don't even get the first key card until you get it from the DARPA chief. And then by that point, he dies, and then that's the end of the demo, so it's like... But I remember playing this, like, so much. I remember showing my friends and shit, like, look at this fucking game. This is Metal Gear Solid. It's amazing, or whatever. Actually, the screenshot on the back there is, like, really, like, clear. Like, they got some good capture technology for that or whatever. Looks pretty good, you know, like it looks pretty like really lit up, like it's vibrant. Like I want to know what they were using for that, you know, like that's pretty cool. So yeah, this was my first exposure to Metal Gear Solid right here. Was this demo disc. And then you know, eventually, like I said, we got the game, and then kind of down the line, because I used to play this demo disc just repeatedly. I probably played through this demo like, I don't know, 50, 60 times or something like that. And then one time, I don't know if it, I don't even remember how long after it was. I mean, probably a few years after. Okay, so yeah, it must have been like 3rd or 4th grade or so. So like 2001, 2000-ish. Somewhere in there. So like a few years later, yeah, I wasn't that much older, but at that point, my brother's like, oh, we've played this demo like 1,000,000 times. Do you want to play the actual game? And I'm like, fuck yes, I want to play the actual game. I didn't say that. I hope I didn't say that. I mean, maybe I did say that. I don't know. Maybe I was a badass kid who said, fuck yes, I want to play Metal Gear Solid. But that's how I felt, is fuck yes, I want to play Metal Gear Solid. You know, so I just, I remember that. And then getting to play the actual game was just like, mind-blowing, you know? Like, so that was awesome. I always remember that. It's amazing. Good shit. Those experiences there. So, yeah. But, like... God, there's so much to say. This is my second favorite game of all time. And a game that I've played a lot. Like, maybe the most times I've replayed a game out of most games. Like, I'm trying to think what I've replayed more than this, you know, like, it was like, for a while there, it was this, Ocarina of Time, and like, I don't know, like, for years and years, I would just replay these fucking games, and just go at them, you know, just like, find every little thing, just go through them, because, especially with this game, like, there's a lot of great themes, and, story stuff, and especially back then, I still think the story's awesome, and the theming of the characters and stuff. it's a little antiquated in comparison to the later games, because Kojima definitely goes bigger and bolder with the other games. But I think that there's a certain charm to this original sort of story, and based on his limitations of what he could do at the time with the PS1. Because I gotta say, like, still to this day, you know, okay, like, Final Fantasy VII is a pretty impressive looking game for the PS1 or whatever. It's alright. It's alright. Alright. It's alright. Backgrounds are cool and stuff. I mean, the characters can use a little work. Metal Gear Solid is still probably the best looking game of its era in terms of, like, what they could do with the of the PS1 era, let's say, like, of that on that console, I would suppose. Because, you know, like, the N64 did some pretty cool stuff and whatever, but Banjo-Kazooie and all that. But yeah, like, of its era, of the PS1, let's just even say 98, like, and beyond that, it still just impresses me how cinematic and, like, groundbreaking the visuals and the score and even the voice acting. Every time that we talk about voice acting from that era, I always say, well, what is there? There's Resident Evil and Metal Gear Solid, and that's the two ends of the spectrum there. And Resident Evil is a close second to Metal Gear Solid in terms of voice acting, in terms of it having to be the best, but that's only because it's, like, the only notable example other than Metal Gear Solid of, like, even remotely decent voice acting at the time. But, like, the gap is, like, extreme. The Metal Gear Solid's way up there to the ceiling. Like, Resident Evil's down here somewhere. Like, the voice acting in this game is legendary. I'm gonna say that a lot. That's a word I'm gonna use a lot. Legendary. Because it's all very legendary. Like, David Hayter, Cam Clark, they fucking knock it out of the park. Christopher Randolph as Otacon. David Hayter as Snake, of course. And Cam Clark as Liquid Snake. All really great voice actors. And even, like, okay, like, I like Meryl's voice actress, but just as I play this game more and more now, like, just now, okay, to be fair, I played this game, like, 4 or 5 times through, how many times? Like, 3 or 4, something like 4 times last year, because I played it for myself, then my friend Nick and I played it, my friend John and I played it, and my friend James and I played it, so that's 4 times. And I just played it now, so that's 5 times within, you know, like, a year's span there, or whatever. So, it's not like I'm getting burnt out on the game, but I'm just saying, like, I've started to notice things about the game, and not in a bad way, but I'm just saying, like, Meryl's voice actress is great and everything, and whatever, but I like her character, but also, as I go back to the game more and more, it's always Otacon and Snake's relationship that I find more engaging than Snake's Meryl's relationship, because Meryl and Snake don't meet again until, spoilers, sorry, spoilers! Giant story spoilers coming, alright? I'm gonna spoil fucking everything, alright? I mean, maybe not everything, but I'm gonna talk a lot about spoilers, alright? Please play the game if you haven't played it already. It's a 10 out of 10 game. I'm just gonna put that out there, out front, alright? Please, I beg of you, just play it before this. Don't play Twin Snakes. I already fucking got into that in my Twin Snakes video. It's actually sitting right here. You can't actually see much of it, but it's right there. And Rising's right here. It just doesn't really fit into the picture here, alright? Don't play Twin Snakes. Play the original. Get a PS3. Go on PSN. Don't play the disc version, because, as I'll get into here in a second, that's a problem. The characters are really great, but because Snake and Otacon's relationship goes through all of the games that they're in together, you know, every game going forth, it's always Snake and Otacon. It's not Snake and Meryl. Snake and Meryl don't even, like, exist together again until Metal Gear Solid 4. You know, so my point being, so there's two endings, alright? So it's spoilers, right? I already said that. There's two endings. There's an Otacon ending and there's a Meryl ending. And I was just gonna get into this now, because, like, this is one of these things that bothers me. Fuck, I was supposed to watch the Otacon ending before I did this review. I didn't do it. I remember the Otacon ending, though. It's great, and I love it, and it's my favorite ending for this game, because I feel like, in a sense, it's a more canon ending than the Meryl ending. The only thing that's canon about the Meryl ending is that she lives, and that's it. And she goes on to be in Metal Gear Solid 4. When that initially happened in Metal Gear Solid 4, I didn't understand why she was still alive, because back in the day, I always got the Otacon ending, because the way to get it is you have to do this rigorous torture sequence where you have to fucking mash that fucking circle button really fast. This time around I used the old pen trick. I don't know. Oh, here it is. I used the old pen trick where you just do that. It worked out for me. That's how I got the Meryl ending this time. I actually got the Meryl ending this time, because every other time I get the Otacon ending. My friends were a little mixed here and there with Otacon Meryl ending, but I always told them that the Otacon ending was better, and I always showed them whatever ending they didn't get afterwards, because they're both really significant endings. And they actually, you miss out on some key details from the Otacon ending if you do not get that ending that are more canon than the Meryl ending. So it doesn't make any sense to me why everyone, oh, I love the Meryl ending. Like, it's fine, it's a good ending. But also, alright, let's talk about Snake's character arc here, what he learns or whatnot, the themes and whatever. At the end of the game, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go live my life now with Meryl. Which doesn't happen. That's... But by Metal Gear Solid 2, which is only a few years after Metal Gear Solid 1, he already has disassociated himself with Meryl. And he's actually with Otacon doing a mission. Because, well, it's because of his actions, of what he caused to happen by losing the optical disc in the first game to Ocelot. So then Ocelot basically leaks this data, essentially, and then so, like, everyone's got Metal Gears now, the Army and the Navy and all this stuff, so they've developed a whole bunch of new Metal Gears, and, yeah, it's crazy stuff. That's number 2, though. I'm just saying, this is all important, because what actually happens after Metal Gear Solid 1 is Metal Gear Solid 2. Which means that Meryl and that life that he wanted to live is significantly less canon than Otacon's ending, where him and Snake have moments to talk about, hey, let's live and whatever. Okay, cool. Like, yeah, like, it's like the same kind of ending, but it makes more sense with Otacon. And the other thing is, Meryl, in the second half of the game, isn't that much of a character, because... Spoilers, I know. Because she gets shot, and then Sniper Wolf takes her, and she's a prisoner, right? And so you don't see her, literally, except for in flashbacks, you do not see her until the end of the game. And Otacon kind of steps in to take Meryl's place, in a sense, which is better. And I like Snake and Otacon's, relationship better, because it's like, it just works out. Because, so, like, the whole thing that Meryl's trying to, like, put into Snake's head the whole time is, like, hey, you shouldn't be so closed off to people. Snake has trust issues because of what he's experienced in the past, in the Metal Gear games, not Metal Gear Solid games, the Metal Gear games. He's been betrayed and all that kind of stuff. There's 2 Metal Gear games that come before this that are Metal Gear... Oh, fuck my ass. There's Metal Gear games on my NES shelf that I didn't grab. Alright, fuck it. You know what? I'm gonna grab them right now. I'm gonna grab them. Alright, so yeah, the Metal Gear games, which are down here and they're covered up. Let's see. Yeah, get that nuclear warhead storage building in there. Where are these games? Oh, there's... Okay, Metal Gear. And... Do I even dignify Snake's Revenge before you get out? I guess so. This is not how I thought this was going to go. That's alright. Okay, so... Snake's Revenge, which isn't even canon. I don't know why I cracked this. And, alright, so there's a Metal Gear, and then there's Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, which I don't have a physical copy of because it's a Japanese PC game. The only physical copy I have of it is on this and a bunch of old other... Initially, so what happened is the way we got the sequel to this game original... Okay, so this is like a butchered port of the actual Metal Gear 1. But we got the real version of this and its sequel, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, which had not been released up until this point to us in the West, translated or whatnot, was released on this guy here, Metal Gear Solid 3. It had Metal Gear 1 and 2 on the bonus disc. Let's see. Yeah, it would be... I don't know, on one of these fucking discs, it would be on there. One of these discs has, like, the main game, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. So it got released on there, and then every subsequent re-release on the Metal Gear Solid 3 menus would have Metal Gear 1 and 2. So the HD collection, the Legacy collection, the all of it had it. Even the Vita version, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I did. I remember playing that, actually, when I had the Vita version. I don't have it anymore. I gave it to one of my friends or whatever. But even the Vita version had Metal Gear 1 and 2 on there, so that's interesting. It's interesting stuff. But you know, when you get the original Snake Eater here, and then the Essential Collection version of Snake Eater here, which is a different cover art and stuff, those actually do not have Metal Gear 1 and 2 because they hadn't been re-released yet. So yeah. Anyway, point being that in Metal Gear 1 and 2, Snake kind of... This is when he's young and okay, spoilers for Metal Gear 1 and 2 as well. Big Boss betrays him because Big Boss, you actually find out, is the enemy the whole time, kind of near the end of Metal Gear 1, and then he fights him again in Metal Gear 2, which, by the canon... Spoilers for Metal Gear Solid 5! By the canon, is actually not Big Boss in Metal Gear 1. It's actually Venom Snake from Metal Gear Solid 5. This game franchise has the most convoluted storyline, and I love it to death. Because it's ridiculous, and it's awesome, and it still somehow manages to be profound, and, I don't understand it. It's amazing. It's the most amazing series. This is my favorite video game series right here. For sure. Without question, this is my favorite video game series. Because almost every game in this series is amazing. The only ones that, like, aren't all that great are, like... But even the not good ones, like Peace Walker, not that it's not good. Even the less good ones, like Peace Walker, are still a pretty good game. You know, probably a lot of people would say 5 is lesser, but I like that one a lot. Even a lot of people would say Portable Ops is lesser, but I think that's a pretty underrated Metal Gear game, honestly. I really like Portable Ops. That's a good one. Even VR Missions is just more Metal Gear Solid 1, so if you like the mechanics of Metal Gear Solid 1, you'll like VR Missions. And then... Like, then you have this, which is Metal Gear Solid. Like, it says Metal Gear Solid. By the way, in case you don't know, this is a Game Boy Color game. And I did used to have this back in the day, and I sold it and rebought it a bunch of times, which I don't understand how that's possible, because this is a very rare game, and actually I have proof that I had it back in the day. This, and as you can see... It's a little, like sticky. It was a little sticky there. This was actually stuck to the bottom of one of my other manuals. I don't remember which one it was, but I had this game on and off as a kid, like, a lot. It's actually kind of like a demake of Metal Gear Solid 1 onto the Game Boy Color there. In a sense, like, it has a lot of similar characters and stuff, like the Secretary of Defense, who's barely in the first game, but he's like a main character on the Kodak staff in this game, and he's actually the one who gets to betray you instead of Liquid in this game, or whatever, I think. Something to that effect, which is really interesting. So, yeah, it's just like a really weird other version of it. My point about this is, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because this has like almost every mission from this, like minus like the Gray Fox stuff, like all the weapons missions from this PS1 game that they had to release on the side. Actually in Japan they got these on the PC version integral, which actually is on here. So I'm pretty sure that this has VR missions as well, because it boasts on the back that it has Metal Gear Solid Integral, which I still haven't tried out yet, and I don't imagine it's translated at all. They actually just released the PC version on Good Old Games, I think, or something like that. Again, re-released it for Metal Gear Solid, but I'm pretty sure that also was not integral, that version of Metal Gear Solid 1, which is a Japan PC exclusive that we now have on here. But also, this was the other half of that game that they re-released as a standalone PS1 game. Like, what the fuck? Like, does this not blow your mind, all of this shit? Like, this is ridiculous. Alright, so they re-released that other half, the VR missions that we missed out on this game. I actually have this in double. One of my friends bought this to me. Actually, I had this in triplicate at one point, and I sold one because my friends double bought it for me, even though I had the game from back in the day, from like high school or middle school. I think it was middle school or something. I bought the game like online or something. Anyway, they got this version for $8, so that's pretty good. It's actually a pretty decent set of VR missions. There's 20 VR missions that come with the main game, which they didn't include in the Twin Snakes for some reason. It's just really dumb, and I think that's, well, I mean, that game is just like a really, really neutered version of the original game, which is ironic because it was trying to be the definitive version of that game. But we're not talking about that. I already compared them all in my Metal Gear Solid versus the Twin Snakes video. You should go watch that. That's almost like a part one to this video, in a sense, because I go over a lot of the stuff that I really love about Metal Gear Solid 1, and I'm going to get to that stuff. I swear to God, I will get to that stuff. But I actually went over a lot of that there, so it's really good, like, starter to this. Anyway, they took the game, the VR missions, the weapons VR missions that were on here, and put them in here. This is one cartridge, and this game contains basically most of this game and a whole new separate game that feels like Metal Gear 3, not Metal Gear Solid 3. It feels like Metal Gear 3. You know, these Metal Gear games, you know, the ones that we really never got, honestly, other than this like neutered port of it. The ones that are on here and all this stuff that I was just talking about, this feels like the actual it feels like if they took Metal Gear Solid 1, the game that we're reviewing, and made it in the style of the old Metal Gear games, and it's like its own continuity and separate timeline. It's a spin-off game. It's known as Ghost Babel in Japan, like Ghost Babel GB Game Boy. So that's kind of clever thing there. But anyway, so I just wanted to mention that because they have all of the VR missions from this in this, like the weapons ones. It's really impressive. This is a really impressive game, and it's super rare. So that's cool. Anyway, so yeah, I don't even know how I got to there. Oh, you know how I got there? God damn it. We were talking about Snake and his trust issues or whatever. So in Metal Gear 1, he has some trust issues, right? In Metal Gear 2 and this kind of stuff. So by the time of Metal Gear Solid, Snake has isolated himself. He's done with people. He doesn't want anything to do with people anymore. So he, as he says himself, I was holed up in Alaska drinking too much or whatever. And so yeah, we get that. You know, that's relatable. All right, cool. He's become an introvert. That's neat. I like that. You know, I relate to that. So over the course of the game, people kind of try to be, he's got a bunch of like smart ass remarks to everyone at the beginning of the game and stuff. And, he has all those little lines and whatever. But underneath all of that is a really guarded and introverted sort of character who doesn't really want to get to know people or trust people or whatever. I think that's really cool. That's really a good spin on the classic like action hero, 80s action hero, which, obviously the character of Solid Snake is paying homage to. Old Escape from New York movies and stuff. That's where they got the name Snake from. Actually, there's famously Kojima asked John Carpenter, "Can I use the name Snake?" And he's like, "No, I don't want you to do that." And then he did it anyway. So, yeah, so that's pretty funny. But yeah, and so basically, like I said, so over the course of the game, he kind of has this arc where he learns to like people. I think that's cool. That's a really good, good morals and stuff. I mean, there's lots of other themes and morals and stuff, and we'll get into all that. But the one that I related to the most this time was the fact that Snake goes on the, on the side of his journey, he actually starts to learn to care about people and open up a little bit to those people and not be such a hardened war veteran or whatnot. He learns to love and be a friend to people again, especially with Otacon and Meryl and whatnot. So and that was kind of my point of all of this was that Meryl is a good way of doing that, but then the second half of the game, she's not there as much because she's captured. So you've got Otacon to pick up that slack, and I think that relationship actually goes a lot better than the Meryl Snake relationship in terms of getting him to progress his opening up and all of that. Which is cool, and I think that's great. And it's a really relatable sort of way to portray that sort of message and that kind of character. And it's something I didn't really I knew that, but I just didn't pay as much attention to that I guess before. But that's something I really like about Solid Snake, is that he had to learn to open up to people. I mean, that's a really relatable message, especially for an introvert or more. So yeah, I just thought that was really cool. But my point is, I feel like him and Otacon go through a lot more trials and tribulations and stuff together than him and Meryl do for the most part. So there's because Meryl is she's a rookie, sure, but she at least knows how to handle herself and she can take down guys and stuff. But Otacon is just a defenseless fucking baby, basically, in a sense. I love the guy. He's one of my favorite characters in all of Metal Gear, much more so than Meryl, for sure. But Otacon, yeah, it's appropriate that this is playing, because this is the theme when Sniper Wolf dies, and it's really sad. And if you used to cry every time, I mean, now I'm so desensitized to this music because I've listened to it to death. Seriously, I used to just listen to this music again and again and again and again and again and again back in the day. I used to have a job where I'd just be kind of left to my own devices, and I had my iPod, so I just played this music and old stuff like that. And so I've listened to this music so much now. It's this is still a really sad song. I like its refrain in Metal Gear Solid 4. I'll just put it that way. I don't want to spoil that moment yet. Probably spoil that when we get to that review. Yeah, but oh god, the music is just so powerful, and it's very nostalgic as well. But I just still think it really holds up. It's very impressive for the time, That's the game in general. It's just really impressive for the time, and it's still impressive today. I still feel like this music has the impact that it's meant to have, you know? Of course, like the boss theme and just the encounter theme, they get your blood pumping and rushing, and you really feel the tenseness and the action um, of the scene there. And the other pieces are like perfect for sneaking too. And they fill out the atmosphere nicely of like this like dismal like nuclear warhead storage building and all that, and like all this just this facility. You know, it's like this isn't happy sunshine rainbow music like fucking Tomba. This is like, you know, this is intense. Like we're fucking sneaking around and there's guards everywhere, and it's like you get caught and it's like dun 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 boom. You know, it's like it's intense, man. It's crazy. Um yeah. But it just perfectly portrays what's going on with the game and the atmosphere. It perfectly captures the atmosphere. I don't think the game would feel the same without the music, and I can actually vouch for this because there's a thing where when you're in dialogue, you can, if you hit any, like if you hit one of the buttons or something, it'll like stop the dialogue so you can just read it basically, instead of like the voice acting and stuff going on. And so some of those scenes, they won't have the music because the music is behind the voice acting. It's just like that's the track that they're playing. They just stop that track so you can like read the dialogue instead of them saying it. But it really affects the scene in a different way. I've seen these scenes like a million times, and there's still scenes that I haven't seen or are really obscure scenes in the game, and I'll get to that in a second. I'll come back to that. But like the first time the first Meryl scene where you call her for the first time, by the way, you gotta find the codec number on the back of the CD case, which is one of these right there, this screenshot. So, yeah, can't really see it, but yeah, that screenshot there, that's what they're talking about in-game when they say, oh, it's on the back of the CD case or whatever. It's actually on the back of the physical CD case, so that's cool. So yeah, but the first conversation I had with Meryl, I accidentally hit the button, and I noticed that it didn't play the best is yet to come in the background like it always does with Meryl and her scene. And that's something I really disliked about the Twin Snakes, is they replaced the music with generic music, and like the best is yet to come and all of that stuff was like not in the background of a lot of those scenes, and so it didn't have the same impact. The dialogue and the re-recorded voice lines and stuff just kind of fizzled, and I'm not re-reviewing that. I'm just saying like that was something that was really bad about that game. Was everything basically. No, just kidding. No, it was fine. It just wasn't a very good Metal Gear game, and it's not a good representation of the game we're reviewing right now. So without this music, the game definitely doesn't portray the same thing. That's what I was saying in the Twin Snakes review, by the way, is that everything comes together as this amazing package. So not only is it the music, so you know, like some games, like the music's not that memorable, but the story and the characters and stuff are really good, and maybe the gameplay's good, maybe everything else, maybe the gameplay, the graphics, all of that's good, but the music isn't very memorable. Okay, so the music wasn't great, whatever, who cares, right? But it's just so much more impressive, especially for a PlayStation 1 game that came out in '98, that not only is the music good, but the characters are good. The storyline is what even was on par with this storyline at that time. I don't think a game had a story like this up until that point, you know? Because like, what's the most other epic game of the time? Well, okay, like I guess there was like Final Fantasy VI and stuff. That was a pretty good storyline, but just saying, like, games didn't have stories like this. There wasn't really cinematic games like this as much, or to this degree, until this game came out and like revolutionized everything. You fucking new people with your The Last of Us, and I guess The Last of Us Part 2 for some people or whatever, and Naughty Dog games and all that, your fucking Uncharted and shit, all that cinematic shit, that all started here. Metal Gear did that first, you know, or maybe Snatcher or something, but Kojima pioneered that, you know, in a sense, and I think we should really thank him for that. But not only that, so like the story, the cinematics, the visual flair, just the directing of the game. That's not something you can say about most games, especially of the time. The directing of the game is amazing. The voice acting, there wasn't good voice acting at this point. The voice acting is great. The characters and stuff, like I said, the gameplay actually is still fucking awesome. The sneaking stuff is great. The boss fights, you know, like, okay, like, you know, some of them aren't the best anymore, like, but I still think they hold up pretty good, you know, like they're not, some of them aren't the most exciting thing, like, you know, when you're fighting Liquid on top of the thing, you just punch him a bunch of times, or like, but even like that, like the Gray Fox fight, I like that, you know, like, I still think all the fights are great, it's just like, there's little chinks in the armor of that, I guess, if you want to, like, the gameplay is still fine, and it's still really, really good. It's fine. It's really, really good, still. And it still holds up incredibly well. There's just little things that are like, oh, okay, like, you know, yeah, it's definitely a PS1 game, you know. Regardless, the gameplay, if we're giving all these things, like, numbers, the gameplay is still a 10. All of it's still a 10. I'm telling you. So the gameplay is great. The visuals, the everything, point is, everything comes together to create an incredible experience of a game. A game that you experience, you know? A merging of cinema and video game as one beautiful package, you know? That's this game. Because it really feels like you're playing like some kind of spy thriller sort of thing, but also not at the same time. It's nothing like a James Bond. It is only slightly like a James Bond. It's like I don't fucking know. They've never done anything like it. You know, it's like, because there's so many like real world and political messages and stuff here as well, on top of your wonderful characters and character arcs and all the secrets and just every other fucking thing. It's not only that they did everything super well, they excelled at doing everything super well. Everything goes beyond just being good. It's all perfect, you know, in a sense. Maybe not perfect, but to me, it's all perfect. And that's why the game really stands out as such an amazing game, is that every part of the game comes together to be an amazing game. Arguably, in the later games, and my friends have argued this to death, Metal Gear Solid 2 goes a little bit overboard with the story. The gameplay's good, but, you know, there's better gameplay, right? And all this stuff. And they have their little chinks and complaints about that game. And that's fine and everything. And, yeah, it's great. The escape sequence, yeah, fuck yeah. Just the music anyway. So, like, and the escape sequence is pretty cool too, but I'm just, like, okay. Anyway, so all these pieces come together, and they're great, but later games can be said to have too much story or too much gameplay. Like, the other really highly regarded one is Metal Gear Solid 3. I mean, they're all highly regarded, but Metal Gear Solid 3, because it's also very well balanced in this thing. That's the other thing I'm saying, is that the game is well balanced in all of its aspects. It's a little heavy-handed story-wise. Like, there's a lot that weighs the game. There's a lot of story to weigh the game to very heavily story. But if you know that going in, and you expect that, that's fine. Like, I don't even think modern games sit on with as much story as this PlayStation 1 game has, you know? Because of this game. Because they don't think that they can compare. They can't do a Kojima, you know? As Derek Alexander says about D2, Kojima makes this shit look easy, you know? So, yeah, like, it's just so all well and elegantly crafted together to be a great game. So, let's get into it a little more then. Let's talk about more stuff about it then. Sorry, I'm engrossed in the music now. Let's see. So we were talking about the characters earlier. Obviously, Snake, Snake's a great character. Snake becomes an even greater character in the later games. Obviously, he has his arc about learning to trust people and learning to open himself up to caring about people. I think that a lot of that is in his line of work, you know, this dangerous field and being a soldier and all that. He probably loses a lot of people, and so he wanted to just cut himself off from caring. But what he ends up realizing is that he'd rather live the time that he has with those people to its fullest extent. And that's actually reflected in the Foxdie virus as well. Naomi Hunter says that to him, you know, like, he's like, how long do I have? And she's like, just, you know, that's up to you. Just live with the time you have left. And I think he takes that and applies that to his friends and his relationships and whatnot in life. So as a person, he grows a lot from this experience and this journey. And of course, he's a friggin' hero and everything for saving the world. But then they like slander his name in the next, you know, games and try to like brand him as like a war criminal or whatever. And so the minor character in the game, Nastasha Romanakov or whatever the fuck her name is, some Russian name, who's like this weapon specialist who you never have to call in the game, is only briefly mentioned like twice. She writes this book about the real truth of what happened in Metal Gear Solid 1 because the government tries to slander Snake's name and just like totally, you know, make him out to be like this war criminal or something. Almost like he was the one who put on the, you know, Shadow Moses and all that. But, you know, which is not true. He prevented a nuclear holocaust, essentially, from this new Metal Gear stealth weapon, Metal Gear. And, you know, Metal Gear has obviously like a big walking death tank, almost like a mecha from an anime or something. And it's like, they get into that too, where Otakon's like really loves anime. So it's like, that's where you got the design idea from Metal Gear from. Although, in Metal Gear Solid 3, what's his name? Granin has like a little model of Metal Gear Rex or whatever. I feel like the negative Nelly review. That's why I was laughing, because, you know, the author of this video would like to express that he's not a colossal nerd. I'm not! You know, that she's not a colossal nerd. I'm not! Or whatever. Anyway, that's a reference like 2 people will get. Anyway. Because that's the kind of level I'm going into this with detail. I'm just like, oh yeah, but you remember this thing from this part of the series? This little Easter egg in the background or whatever? Is that canon? That's the kind of reverence I have for these games. Is like, I remember... I don't even remember everything, because there's so much to remember, you know, is the problem. Because this game became like such a franchise, you know? It's like, it's crazy, man. And it's like, you know, it's like everyone and their mom has done a Metal Gear Solid, or Metal Gear Solid, all of the Metal Gear games reviews or whatever, and I'm going to do it too. And it's like, what can I add to the conversation? Well, I can add my own goddamn personal experience with it, you know? Fuck everyone He's like, what's there to be said about Metal Gear Solid that hasn't been said before? I don't know. Metal Gear Solid is like Microsoft Excel. That probably hasn't been said before. That's a JonTron joke. Or Microsoft PowerPoint. Whatever the fuck. I don't know. Anyway. So, sorry. I'm rearranging my fucking games because they want to fall all the fucking time. Here, I'm just going to put that in front of there. You saw that. I'll show all of this off in a bit. Anyway, so, but yeah, I want to talk about, you know, because this game, and it's appropriate that this song is playing, this game means a lot to me, not only because all of those aspects come together to make it, to me, almost a perfect game. It means a lot to me because this is the kind of game that stuck with me. It's almost a sequel to the Tomba thought of the Tomba video, because when I didn't have Tomba, you know what I was playing? I was playing Metal Gear Solid and Ocarina of Time, like I was saying, because those games were important to me, and I could just replay this game at infinitum amount of times or whatever, because it just meant a lot to me, and the theming and the messages of just living your life and all of that, and you know, I still need to get to that. I still need to follow that advice, and I'm working on it. I'm doing a little bit more each time, but this isn't about John's life. This isn't a sequel to the Ring Fit video where I'm gonna just go into my fucking personal life or whatever, but it's all about living your life, and that's kind of the message behind the game is, you know, and behind the series, really, because at the end of the series, spoilers, sorry, for Metal Gear Solid 4, Snake wants to... That's finally when he starts to live his life, because, you know, because there's this whole thing where Kojima didn't want to make a bunch of these games, but it's like, after the first one, everyone wanted another one. You know, he wrapped it up perfectly in the first game. That's exactly what I thought when I heard of Metal Gear Solid 2 back in the day. I'm like, there's a second one? I mean, that's cool, but like, where are they going to go with this? Because Snake already kind of had his arc, and he did his thing, and that's cool. Like, you know, the other games are great and everything, but even just as a standalone game, Metal Gear Solid 1 works because of its theming of just like, you know, he either ending you get, he wants to go and live his life or whatever, and it doesn't end up happening, but it just makes more sense to me with the Otacon ending. This is what I'm trying to, okay, this is why I'm trying to get to there. With the Otacon ending, Meryl ends up dying, alright? And so there's these really great moments between Snake and Otacon, or even, you know, even just that one moment. There's a bunch of moments, but it's like, because Meryl ends up dying, Snake and Otacon relate to each other's struggles a lot more, because he lost Sniper Wolf, and Snake loses Meryl, and there's a good moment for Otacon. He actually does get a codec call that kind of conveys a lot of the same stuff really quickly in the Meryl ending, which kind of sucks. And he ends up like kind of sacrificing himself in that ending to like stay behind and plan their escape route and whatnot. Another thing I don't like, because you know, what the fuck. You can't sacrifice my boy Otacon, because Otacon is the man. Not maybe in this game, but you know, I still like Otacon in this game a lot. I mean, I love Otacon in every game. You know, all the Otacon, you know, all of those I love. But my point is that there's a nice moment where he comes to comfort Snake, and Snake's like really depressed, and he's like, you know, Meryl, forgive me. She's dead at this point. He's like next to her dead body, or what, her corpse, as it would be. It's yeah. So, and he's having this moment of all this doubt and stuff, and even told Meryl earlier in the game, never doubt yourself, just let it make you stronger and all this stuff. But you really see how far he's come as a person, and how much he actually cares about people through this death, it's a very significant death to him because he loves Meryl, and you know, Otacon loved Sniper Wolf, and they just have this really good moment where they kind of, it's this really powerful like moment where they bond over this mutually, these two loves dying, you know. It's just a really good moment, and he says to him, you know, Snake, life's not all about loss, you know. It's not all about win or lose, don't you think, or whatever. And there's something to that effect is the line, and that line just like really sticks with me. I love that line, and it just speaks to me, you know, a lot. It's powerful stuff. Sorry, I gotta switch over soundtracks here. I don't even know what we're gonna listen to next now that that's over. MGS. I guess we just go to. Let's go to the next game now. I don't know what else to fucking to do. Wow, there's a lot of tracks on this game. Okay. So see, I'm gonna need this kind of music I'm gonna need all of like every soundtrack for every game because it's gonna take me so long to talk about each of them. But he has this moment where he kind of they bond over this, you know, and it's just really powerful, and just the journey that they've been throughout the whole game. And then, yeah, like I said, it's just a really good culmination of Snake's character arc of learning to actually care about people and whatnot, learning to let people into his heart. And it shows why he doesn't want to necessarily do that as much because of loss, you know. But the way Otacon sort of comforts him in that moment shows him that loss isn't the end of the world, and he should be glad that he knew Meryl at all to begin with, kind of thing. And that's just really powerful. I really relate to those scenes, and it's just really quality advice, you know, just life advice in general, and just that whole ending. I feel is just more well representative of things. And it's funny because everyone jokes that this is sort of the bad ending because it is in a sense it's the bad ending is where Meryl dies because it's not the canon ending, but also the other ending's not very canon either. So I like to actually think of the Otacon ending as canon, and then the only thing that isn't true about that is that Meryl dies. I know it's a big part of that ending, but I don't know. Also, at the end of the Otacon ending, you get the stealth camo, which Snake has in the next game, but he also has the infinite bandana in the next game too. So where does that? How does he get both? Like, if he didn't experience both endings, it's odd. But anyway. So, yeah, it's just a really powerful ending. The Otacon ending, and even the Meryl ending's fine too. It's also powerful. Just really well done. The whole thing is well done, obviously, but the ending feels really conclusive, and it feels very satisfying and emotional and gratifying to what you've experienced in the game. And I think that's really important. You know, and then, of course, at the end, in the credits, you get to hear The Best Is Yet to Come, which is a track that you hear briefly at the beginning of the game when Snake is swimming into the into the first area there, the dock or whatever. Um, and so it just kind of comes full circle, and you really get this powerful moment to reflect on everything that has culminated, all the experience that you've had in the game and whatnot. So yeah, I guess since we're talking about the ending, I'll just like let's just rewind it a little bit. What? Well, I don't know. Maybe we should go in order. I don't know. That's the hard thing about this game. I don't know where I want to start and what I want to talk about and this and that. It's like okay, it's like so. I guess I'll just show these off because this is kind of cool. But I have these Metal Gear guides. This one, and this one are the same guide, except one is authorized and one isn't. You can see unauthorized on this guy here. Um, and the backs and like some of the artwork and stuff is different just because of that. But I just thought that was really interesting. That one is like an authorized guide and one is not. It's neat. And these are decent guides if you haven't like played the game before. They're really cool. I just like looking through like the artwork and stuff and all of that. But yeah, I didn't even need these guides. I just kind of like to collect them because obviously I've got a whole Metal Gear collection here. The VR missions guide, that's another one. Actually, I don't even know if I ever used that. I must have bought that like way later on. Yeah, look, it was like $3. That's pretty cool. So, so what's interesting about the game is it actually starts off with you have the option to do either the 20 VR missions, which are also in the VR missions game, by the way. But those 20 VR missions to kind of get used to the gameplay and the storyline there. Or, I mean, not the storyline, sorry. The gameplay of the game, the stealth gameplay, because it's a little new for the time. And then you have these briefings, which is information that kind of will... It all kind of gets said in the game again at different points, but they're constantly referring back to information that they've already sort of told you and whatnot, which is all from the kind of the briefings is my point here. So there's like, I don't know, like 30 or 40 minutes of like optional cutscenes prior to the game if you want to watch those kind of thing. Just to sort of set up the story and really get you invested. But it was good, I think, that they made that optional. I do think that the opening cutscene that happens before the title screen should have maybe been at the beginning of the game. And not been optional because that is like a really good summary of the briefing thing, and it's just really cool how he's like listing off the boss names and stuff, and he's like, you know, Vulcan Raven and Revolver Ocelot and all this is part of Foxhound, and here's what's going down: the nuclear storage facility building on the Fox Archipelago Island, or what, you know, like all that stuff. Which is pretty cool. So, yeah, that opening is really cool. And then, as soon as you like get into the game, the opening there is also really cool, and it just kind of sets up everything. You know, immediately you get a codec call, and so you see how that works. And the codec calls are cool because they get to convey more emotion than there ever really was at the time of characters. During like long form conversations like that. Really long form conversations like that in video games didn't really happen until this point, as far as I can remember. So yeah, so it's kind of a good way to show both characters. You get to see both of them. You get to see the reactions to what they're saying. Even their mouths move and stuff, which is funny because the mouths on the character models in the game don't actually move. Like the faces aren't very developed on the characters in the game. Like the bodies and all the other stuff is like really impressive polygonally, but like the faces and stuff aren't very distinct, and they just kind of do this with their head. They're just bob their head like this, like to indicate that they're talking or whatever. Like, so it's not the most elegant thing, but it looks fine. I would say I would say it's still aged well and whatnot. But I'm just saying, like, if you get a lot of that dialogue in the, that's why it's cool to see like their faces in the codec thing, because you don't get to see that like in detail in the actual like cutscenes and whatnot. And all the cutscenes are done just kind of in engine, so that's neat. So it's not jarring like like I mean, not that Final Fantasy 7 was jarring, but sometimes it would have cutscenes. There's like full motion video cutscenes or whatever. This game doesn't have any of that. It's just like it's all done in the same engine. And I love full motion video cutscenes when they're good. Like Tomba or something. Like, fuck yeah, like that's awesome. But like, it's just impressive that they had done everything that they did in this, um, like that. So anyway, you get to these docks. There's a ration right below you there, and it's a great way to kind of just set up the gameplay of the game. You have also you have the swimming stuff. You have like a little area where you can figure out like what underwater. There's no swimming controls or anything. I'm just saying like the underwater, like how the air gauge works and all of that, and how stairs work like that. How you can crawl. You have to crawl to get out of the under the vent in the first area. So it just like teaches you that right there, or you have to figure that out before the elevator comes down. There's water there to where you would kind of realize that the guards can hear you and stuff, because like dynamic like guards listening into that kind of stuff like that didn't happen before. Like that was brand new like technology. That was really impressive for the time. So they really displayed all of this for you to just kind of play around with in a really relaxed setting in this first area. There's only like 2 guards, and then there's a 3rd guard that comes down from the elevator. So you get to kind of figure out the mechanics. And if you're feeling brave, you can sneak up behind one of the guards or just run into him and start punching him and shit, and figure that out. So that's cool. But it shows you that the guards have patterns, and you can like watch your Soliton radar and stuff and figure that out. Guards have like fields of vision and patterns and stuff, and you can like knock on the wall to like distract them and stuff. It's a good way to set that up, and then that's all equally built upon in. So that's like a small confined area, and then they have like a much bigger area, the heliport, where you have even more hazards like the searchlights and stuff. The security cameras is another one, and if you're explorative there, you'll get the SOCOM pistol in the back of that truck, which I don't actually know where the SOCOM pistol is otherwise. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably just sitting in the armory. Now that I'm like trying to think this, because here's the thing I realized throughout my playthrough this time. If you don't pick up certain items, most of them are going to be at the armory, I would say. But if you don't pick them up, like I always go to the armory and just pick up the FAMAS, which is the machine gun. I didn't do that this time. I just kind of forgot about it. And so later on, as I was going through, I was at Otacon, like the part right before Otacon, with the electrified floor and all that there. And I go into the first room that after I destroyed the electrified floor, the panel for the electrified floor. And then I go to that first room and I just pick up a FAMAS. And I'm like, oh shit, like the FAMAS is also here on top of being in the armory. That's impressive. Like that's pretty cool, So yeah, I just thought that was neat. Just stuff like that. So yeah, and I realized this time around also that there was, so you can get the Nikita missiles in the in that area kind of near Otacon there, on the floor like above him or whatever. But you could also get them back at the armory. So I'm like, all right, well I'm gonna go back and just kind of see how they are. Like if are they at the armory there? Like, can I pick up the actual missile launcher back at that armory? And of course I could, and that's great. That's what I'm saying. There's multiple areas for certain items, which I didn't really realize before. That didn't set in to me before. You know, like that you can grab these weapons at different areas in the game. I just thought that was really cool. So yeah, and then what else? So yeah, so you get through these first, few tutorial areas, and you're getting a lot of story and stuff. You're getting introduced to all the characters, and that's cool. All your codec conversation characters, and they're developing the story. They're kind of setting up. There's a little mystery, like, what's this Hindy doing here, and all this stuff. And then like, as soon as you kind of get to the DARPA chief, which is like a few areas in, you've experienced a lot of like the gameplay and stuff at that point. You've even like crawling through the fucking tunnels or whatever, which are dark as shit and they're like super hard to see. Hey, guess what? If you pick up the thermal goggles early on in the level 5 door that's open near the beginning of the game, and I don't know if it's only if you take the top route or whatnot. Usually, okay, so what I used to do was there's two routes that you can take in the heliport. There's a lower route, which I used to always take, and then there's a top route where you have to go around a camera, and there's like another guard, like one of the only guards that can see your footprints, like, whose footprints are these? And then you'll follow your footprints or whatever. There's a guy on that top area where there's another crawling vent. And what's interesting is if you maybe it's just if you don't get discovered or whatever, or you've never like punched a guard or something, which is, yeah, I hadn't been seen up until that point, which I just realized now, that's kind of cool. But I hadn't been seen up until that point. So when there's a vent that you can look down, and there's a cutscene basically that happens, and they'll say like, there's an intruder besides you, who's already killed a bunch of people or whatever. But I didn't get that because I think that nobody saw me yet, or whatever. So that's interesting. Like, I never have seen that alternate version where they don't talk about that. They just talk about the DARPA chief being moved to the basement floor 1 or whatever. So that's cool. I don't know. I don't know if that was just me or maybe I skipped that part of the cutscene or something, but I think that's interesting because I think that was just because I hadn't been seen yet or whatever, which is interesting. So yeah, usually I take that top route there. And then there's thermal goggles in this one, like, big hangar thing that's only open for a brief amount of time before you get the level 1 card key or whatever. As soon as you get that shuts, and it's like a level 4 or 5 door or something. So you can't get back in there until like way later in the game. And but if you get these thermal goggles early, because you only crawl in vents like twice, and it's like really early in the game. But if you get these thermal goggles early on, and then you equip them, you can see in those vents like super well. And if you get the night vision goggles later on too, but like by that point you're not gonna be going back and crawling through the vents. There's really no reason. But yeah, when I realized that, my friend is like, hey, why don't we try the thermal goggles? Like, see if it'll like light up these vents and like make you actually be able to see it. I'm like, oh my god, how have I never thought of this in all of my fucking 20 years of playing this game or whatever, and I never thought of this. And they did it, and it works perfectly. It looks great, and it's like, oh wow, okay, this is what you're supposed to probably have done. That first tunnel, there's no helping you there, but the one on the way to the DARPA chief, the thermal goggles, that's the way to do it. Like, mind blown. There was a part later too where a different one of my friends was like, we're fighting Gray Fox, and I'm like, all right, how do you think that we should fight this guy? And I'm like, you shouldn't use like standard weapons because he'll fucking like dodge that shit with his sword or whatever. And he's like, well, let's use chaff grenades because he's got like this exoskeleton suit or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. I've never tried that before. Why don't you try that? And it actually, he like, when you use the chaff grenade, he like curls down and like, he's like on the floor like fucking writhing in pain or something. His suit gets disrupted or whatever. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even fucking know you could do that. Like, that's the level of detail there is in this PS1 game, to where they were just barely mastering doing anything like this game. But this game went above and beyond, is my point. Like, it's crazy, man. It's just so extra, and so there's so much extra stuff there. Stuff that I still haven't even discovered. So, the multiple weapons locations and that kind of stuff, that's little secrets. There's ghosts everywhere once you get the camera, which is already a secret thing to begin with. The camera is hidden away behind this door that's like level 6. And you have to like it's actually behind a wall that you have to blow up with C4. This is a thing in the game, and if you like pay attention, you'll notice that that wall is there, and you'll actually hear a camera on the other side. It's right near the Ocelot boss fight there. But you yeah, you basically you have to remember to come back there and get this camera, and then there's ghosts like of developers or stuff everywhere, and they have this again. Okay, sorry, I'm not gonna say that anyway. I'll bring that up when we get to the 4 review. God damn it! I said it was in Metal Gear Solid 4. Anyway, there's a similar thing in Metal Gear Solid 4. Let's just put it that way. But once you use the camera, you can like take pictures of certain spots, and there'll be like ghosts there that you can see. It's really cool. And it's like, I've never done that in the original Metal Gear Solid game. I really should sometime. That's another thing that I could do to make it more interesting. But like, they're like everywhere throughout the game. There's like 30 of them or something. It's like, what the fuck? Like, this is like some really secret level shit here. This is what I love about this game. It's so wacky, and there's so many fucking things like that. There's codec conversations about fucking everything. You can call your teammates at like any point. There's like probably hundreds of codec. I don't know, maybe not hundreds, but yeah. Well, I mean, there's at least hundreds of codec conversations in general, and probably, you know, like a third of those I've never heard before because I just didn't call my teammates every second of every time and call them enough and this and that. Like, I remember when I first figured out about when you go into the ladies' bathroom, you're chasing after Meryl, and then it took me forever to figure out about this, but there's an Easter egg where if you call Mei Ling, she's like, Snake, that's a ladies' bathroom. And he's like, I know that. I saw Meryl come in here. And she's like, so you went in after her? What are you, some kind of pervert or something? And she's like, I won't let you save your mission now, or whatever. But yeah, so like, stuff like that, little extra shit like that like, you know, they don't have that shit in the Twin Snakes. I mentioned this all in my Twin Snakes review as well, but they don't have that shit in the Twin Snakes, which definitely detracts from that game. But I just remember it's just stuff like that is so cool, and there's so many of those that I probably never heard. There's one where if you have a mono TV, which is like, you know, like, who's gonna have that anymore? But if you do, if you have like a CRT mono TV sitting around, and you have the physical disc of this game, and you're gonna play a PS1 version, you know, on a PS1 or whatever, and you're trying to do the Hind D fight, and they'll be like, you're like calling to your teammates, and you'd have to figure out to call into your teammates, like, that's another thing, and they'll be like, oh, you know, and I'm sure you have to call them a few times before they actually suggest this, but they're like, oh, you know, like, you're supposed to listen for where the Hind is, even though you can see it on the radar and stuff. I mean, I guess in the extreme mode and hard mode, you can't really see. I mean, you can kind of, if you're on near the edge of the Hind fight area, you can see where the Hind is at, but without the radar. But also, you listen is the idea. You listen for where the Hind is at, and they're like, oh, what? You're using a mono TV? And then Naomi's like, a mono TV or whatever. And they're like, well, I guess there's nothing we can do for him. And Colonel Campbell says the greatest line in video game history. Snake, there's more to being a good person than having a good TV or whatever. So that's pretty cool. You know, just little stuff like that. There's like a thing. I tried to even do it and I couldn't get it to trigger. But there's a part where if you shoot rats, pretty much any part, I think, where you would be able to shoot rats, because the rats are everywhere in this fucking game. But if you shoot the rats, you shoot enough of them, I guess, Colonel Campbell will call you, and he'll be like, Snake, what are you doing? Like, get on with your mission. We're not paying you to be a rat trap or whatever. And so, like, so that's a little interaction I've never actually seen. I've only seen that on, you know, codec call, like on YouTube videos or whatever. There's there's one, oh god, what was the other one I was trying to think of? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there's a bunch like that. Oh, if you shoot the crows, um, Vulcan Raven will bring it up during his boss fight. I think you got to shoot a lot of them because I did blow up a few of them and he didn't say anything during the boss fight. But also, if you if you call into your codec team, they'll comment on you shooting crows and stuff too, and how you like shouldn't do that because it's like really wrong, and they're defenseless crows or whatever. So yeah, um, so there's that, and then there's just a bunch of detail like that, and that's what I love about this game, and I just keep finding these details, and I think that's really cool. Is that 20 some years later, 22 years later, I'm still finding these details in this first game. I feel like I know like most of the stuff about the other games, but even those games have like super well hidden codec conversations and stuff. I've seen like most of the ones from 3, and there's still a lot of them like I could probably have missed, but somebody actually compiled most of those there. To do this for Metal Gear Solid 1 would just be a monumentous task, I feel like, because there's still stuff that's so well hidden in the game that it's amazing that it potentially hasn't even been documented yet, or has been, or is just really obscurely documented somewhere. Hi, bud. Don't, yeah. Okay, come on. So, yeah, no, don't lay on that. Just, here. Lay on the thing. There you go. So yeah, so it hasn't been well documented at all, and I'm sure, I don't even know if, like, the strategy guide probably wouldn't tell you about most of that stuff, but maybe some of that's in here. I don't know. Like, it's just crazy, because this isn't some obscure game like Tomba, where, people didn't realize that one of the events you can just use the AP, you can just go grind enemies and AP will increase or whatever. Because that's like such an obscure thing, an obscure situation there. Don't sit on that, please. Come on. An obscure situation there that nobody really fucking cares enough, other than hardcore fans, to really put these pieces together. But like, yeah, like in this game, this is a really popular game, and there's still stuff that maybe people know, but I don't know, and this is my second favorite game. I'm a really big fan of this game. That's what I'm saying. It's mind-boggling that there's still stuff that I may have missed, and I'm guaranteeing that there's stuff that I still don't know about this game, and I love still discovering stuff about this game. I feel like stuff like a game like Majora's Mask, there is a lot of like little hidden shit like that, but I finally feel like I've experienced everything in that game that there is to offer. But I don't know if I'll ever get there with all of the Metal Gear games, because there's just so much to see. So many little things, little secrets, and little just like extra things. If you didn't think to do a certain thing a certain way, there's multiple ways of doing things. There's just a lot of like different cool things to do. There's one that one of my friends figured out. They're like, there's wolves at one part, and you don't have, so there's a thing where you can punch Meryl, and then if you immediately go into the box, the wolves will pee on the box, and then that will be, their scent will be on that box, so they'll just like leave you alone or whatever. And then when you come back with Sniper Wolf's handkerchief, same situation. But when you first go through there, you either have to shoot the wolves, which I always feel bad about doing, so I just run past them. Or, as my friend said, hey, let's use stun grenades. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, I don't know if that'll work, but you can try it. And it worked. Of course it worked. Like, that's probably how you're supposed to do it, right? You just use the stun grenade. This is my point. There's a lot of little secrets like that. I'm still discovering stuff about this game. That's what's cool about that. So yeah. But, like, I don't know. I don't want to like dissect every little story point and everything like that, because everyone's done that already. Like, And not that I couldn't add anything to that, maybe, but like, I just think there's so much really great shit in terms of the story and stuff. It's like it's really badass because there's a lot of like really badass moments and stuff, but it's surprisingly character driven as well. You know, there's a lot of stuff like the stuff I was talking about earlier, that affects it. Like this could just be a badass game, and that would be cool. And I don't know if it'd be as memorable at that point, but Kojima went an extra step and made the characters really developed and made them all have really good motivations, and characters will like double cross characters and stuff. It's like it's crazy how many like layers there are to like this fucking story. You know, like nothing like that had been done in terms of video games at this point. Um, just like there's so many crazy twists and stuff too, and that's a Kojima fucking game for you. There's all these twists and stuff. So it's just crazy. Like I don't want to get into all the details or whatever. I already spoiled a little bit of it, but like, you know, I don't need to spoil all of it for sure. Basically, the gist is there's this thing called Metal Gear. It's that big walking tank thing, and it can. You find out later that well, it's got this railgun, and so it can fire this nuclear missile, but it's actually undetectable by radars and shit. So it gets around all sorts of like political treaties and stuff. So it's like actually like it's like this really cool like stealth nuke basically. And as Otacon says, this thing could mean the end of the world or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it could. So like the stakes are big. Snake's got to go in there and take down Metal Gear for a third time because he did in the Metal Gear games, the old ones, not the Metal Gear Solid games, the Metal Gear games. And he's like, oh yeah, we've had a couple of run-ins in the past or whatever, you know, like that kind of thing. And as you go on, you've learned all this stuff about who Snake is and his past and all the other characters' past. And you definitely get into all of that, and that's cool. And some of their pasts are kind of intertwined and stuff, and it's cool. And everyone has this like reverence for Big Boss and stuff, and he's just like this character that's kind of a background character, but like he was a real character in the other Metal Gear games. You know, it's like it's crazy. He used to be the boss, like the final boss, like the actual boss, like the video game term boss in the old games. Like you fight him twice. You know, you think you fight him twice. You know, Metal Gear Solid 5 complicated that and whatever. I'm just saying. Like, so he was this old character, but you feel the lore there. There's a lot of lore. This is another one of those games where the lore of it is pretty insane overall. So what game was I talking about recently that I'm like, oh, the lore is just fucking insane? I don't remember. It doesn't actually matter. But yeah, so I really love this game because I remember, you know, I played it to death. I've just played it so many times. I played through the like every one of the difficulties I've played through, and I remember I was doing an extreme run, which is the hardest difficulty. So you don't have your radar, and there's a bunch of handicaps. You have like a really small life bar, and you like don't get any rations except for like you can get one ration off of like the guy who's taking a piss in like right before Psycho Mantis part. I should talk about Psycho Mantis. See, this is why I gotta go in order for the game. But like, yeah, so it's like, I made it up until like the Hind D fight, and I could never beat the fucking Hind D fight. But yeah, I did beat the game on like almost every difficulty except for that. And really, I could never probably do like a big boss run on extreme or any of that stuff. Like I could in Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5 and whatever. You know, like 100%ing it and whatnot. Like that's a tall order. I've tried. I really have. Extreme on this game is like fucking ridiculous. But anyway, just thought I'd mention that, throw that in there, that I played this game a lot, and I put, you know, hundreds, thousands maybe of hours into it. I don't know, probably not thousands, probably hundreds of hours into it. Because it's a pretty short game. It's like a 10, 12-hour game or whatnot. So, um, yeah. So, but it's a great game. So, all right. So let's see. Where did we leave off? The introduction of Revolver Ocelot after the DARPA chief dies. He puts all this information in your head. He dies of mysterious circumstance. Johnny gets his fucking shit rocked in by Meryl, and he gets stripped down for to his bare ass or whatever. The introduction of Revolver Ocelot is like one of the greatest moments. Like Revolver Ocelot is such a great character in the Metal Gear series. No, don't go up there. Go down there. All right. The Metal Gear series, and he's a really integral character. Integral, not like the game, but he's a really integral character to the later Metal Gear games because he's in all of them and he becomes kind of the main villain. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I've said it like a million times now. He becomes kind of the main villain. So yeah, but he's just kind of like second in command henchman sort of guy here to Liquid. But you always got this sense that he like had more going on to him than the Liquid plan, which is true. And especially the post-credit scene, you definitely get that sense that he's a little bit more than he seems. He's more than just a guy with a revolver or whatever. He's really into torture, and you find out why in Metal Gear Solid 3. He's actually in that game as well. Ocelot is in like almost every game in the series, which is pretty crazy. I was gonna say, almost every game. Is he in Portable Ops? Of course he's in Portable Ops. He's in the ending of Portable Ops. I'm like trying to think, like, oh yeah, and then of course he's in like the later Metal Gear Big Boss games. Like, fuck, like Jesus Christ, he's like in almost every single game. Like that's crazy. But yeah, he's in more games than Solid Snake probably. But yeah, so Ocelot, he's a really cool character. Like Gray Fox comes in, slices his hand off, and yeah, my arm, like can't stealth camouflage, can't you even die right or whatever? And it's like, you got Gray Fox, the fucking ninja man, the coolest motherfucker ever. Like they just keep referring to him as that ninja for like the first part of the game until you run into him later, and then Snake like realizes he's Gray Fox, who's like one of the old characters from the first two Metal Gear games. And that's what's cool about this game. You didn't have to play those first two Metal Gear games, but if you somehow did, or if you lived in Japan and you played those first two Metal Gear games, they reference those like so much that you're like, wow, like holy shit, I feel like I'm like in on what they're talking about. I know that. I was there. I played those. The only thing that they kind of like retconned is like Big Boss is like Snake and Liquid's father, or they're clones of him or whatever. Spoilers. Yeah. Snake and Liquid are brothers, clones of Big Boss, the perfect soldier. And then there's Solidus, who they mentioned at the ending. Spoilers for Metal Gear Solid 2! Who's the third clone. It's technically not a spoiler for Metal Gear Solid 2, because that's actually in the ending of this game, on the Meryl ending there. So, yeah. But, what was I trying to say? So, Revolver Ocelot's really cool. Like, everyone else that's, like, a character kind of just, like, dies, and then their legacy isn't, like, really felt. Like, you never see Vulcan Raven. I mean, it's not true. You do see Vulcan Raven as a figurine in the second game. But, he's not really brought up much again. He's not really that integral of a character. His whole thing is, like, I feel like he's there to kind of be Snake's, make him think more spiritually or whatnot. Like, that's kind of his whole thing. And then Sniper Wolf is kind of the brutality of war and growing up in war. They're all... It's kind of interesting, actually. They're all sort of reflective parallels of Snake in some aspect of his life. Snake grew up as a child soldier, sort of, as did Sniper Wolf. So there's that. So he's got this trauma from his past. That also comes into play with Mantis, Psycho Mantis, who's one of the greatest characters. I'll talk about him in a minute. and his trauma from his past of him killing his father, which Snake also did. So they're connected in that sense. Um, he's kind of Revolver Ocelot's got a lot to do with his past, and this and that. There's some parallels to each of the characters there, and I just think it's really interesting, actually. I mean, if you want to get down to it, Decoy Octopus, he's like, he's stealthily being the DARPA chief, and so it's like Snake's kind of doing that same thing. I don't know. There's something there. I'm not a philosophizer or analysis when it comes to that, but like I'm trying my best here. But there's definitely a lot of parallels to the characters and what they have gone through, the boss characters, to what Snake has gone through, and I think that's pretty cool. And I guess like Sniper Wolf is like integral to him and Otacon, kind of realizing about the death of their loved ones and whatnot, and all that stuff. So, yeah, but so I just thought that was pretty interesting how all those characters kind of come together. So Psycho Mantis is one of the coolest like characters in video game history, especially for the time. I'm going to say that a lot in this video. For the time, he's definitely a really cool character because he's got this gimmick where... Okay, so the gimmick is that what he actually does... I'm going to spoil the magic for you in case you didn't know. He reads your memory card. By the way, I wanted to bring this out because this is a memory card I had from back in the day. This could have still maybe my Metal Gear Solid saves from, I don't know, high school or maybe even from back in the day. I don't know. From like way back in the day. Who knows? Anyway, so what he did was he would read your memory card and he would read like over your adventure basically. So like if you fell into a lot of the traps early on in like the armory area, he'll say something about that. Or if you avoided them, he'll say, oh, you're really methodical and skilled, like careful man or whatever. That's what something to that effect. That's usually the one I get, and he's like, you're a skilled warrior and you're like good at sneaking and this kind of stuff. Or if you did poorly at all of that stuff, he'll say the exact opposite. Another line from the beginning of the game is if you go through the dock area and you're not seeing much or you don't have to retry a bunch of times, Colonel Campbell will say, excellent, Snake, age hasn't slowed you down one bit. Or if you're like some of my friends who were playing it for the first time and they had to retry that area a few times, he'll say, you're a bit rusty, huh? Or something like that. Like, so it's just like an alternate line. There's a lot of those in this game. That's what I'm saying. There's like so much alternate dialogue that it's almost just, it's crazy. It's impossible to see it all. I mean, maybe somebody has, but that's what I like about this game. There's so many little different variants of stuff. So Psycho Mantis kind of reads your memory card also, and he can see other save games that you have on there from Konami. So if you've got like Silent Hill, I think, and like well, no, Silent Hill wasn't. Was this yeah, maybe Silent Hill was out at this point. I don't know. Like Silent Hill and Castlevania and stuff, he'll like mention things about those games, and you like to play Castlevania from Egoraptor. You can see it in my mind? No, damn it. Or whatever. Metal Gear awesome. So anyway, yeah, so he reads that and then he's like, put your controller on the floor, and you like set it there and he like vibrates it and it'll like move or whatever. And he's like, look at that, I did that or whatever. It's like, that's just cool. It's like, it's a little gimmick, and then you have to plug your controller into the second port. Well, for me, I don't use the physical disc anymore. I'll get to that in a second. I use this now, but there's you go into the menu and you can switch your ports on your controller, which is cool, and switching discs and stuff. I feel like a lot of that was just for Metal Gear, because like you never really need to switch your ports too much for anything, but like this is a really famous gimmick of you switching your ports. There's also a way in that fight where if you destroy the statues, if you can't switch controller ports, Colonel will tell you about this later. I tried doing it, but it didn't really work out, so I don't know how you do it, but you destroy the statues. Maybe you need to use C4. Maybe that's it. You destroy these statues, because if you like look in the first person mode, you can see that you're looking through these statues or whatever. And then that'll also work to where he can't read your mind or whatever. So that's interesting. Um, I just want to mention Psycho Mantis because he's one of the most like iconic video game characters, especially from this series. He only ever appears in this one game. Well, okay, he appears in some of the other games, but like his most prominent role is in this one game. So yeah, so that's interesting. He's a great character, and Liquid is a pretty good antagonist, I would say, for this first game here. Um, he's kind of your shadow, your doppelganger, your if Snake is the good in the world, then he's the evil. Um, so he's just kind of yeah. He it's interesting because his motivations are kind of out of revenge and whatnot. I'm thinking because I'm trying to remember how it goes later in the series. Let's not talk about that. Anyway, whatever. Liquid's a great character. So there's Gray Fox also, and he's kind of lost his sense of self through like gene theory, genetic like experiments and whatnot that they did to him to like bring him back after Metal Gear 2. So yeah, so it's just really he's got a really cool storyline going on there too. They mentioned Dr. Clark, who they had to make a character later in Metal Gear Solid 3, which it's paramedic from Metal Gear Solid 3 in case you didn't know. They like briefly mentioned that in Metal Gear Solid 4 or whatever, like once, just to tie it together, because that was the whole thing, is that they had to make more of these games because Kojima like so that's why it ended so well, and it's like whichever way you went with the ending, it didn't really matter because Kojima didn't intend to make more of these games, and then they had to make more of these games. So there's Metal Gear Solid 2 and stuff, and it's like, by the time you get to 4, he was like really done with the series, so he's just like ready to be done. So he's like, okay, definitively, I am going to make as many of these, like all these loopholes, I'm going to tie it all together. This is going to be the definitive ending for the series. And then they made, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 or 5 other fucking Metal Gear games, Metal Gear Acids. Like they made so many other fucking Metal Gear games after that. It's just like Metal Gear Survive, if you want to count that, which doesn't count at all. It's ridiculous. But anyway, Metal Gear Revengeance, that counts, right? That's another one that they made after 4 or whatever. So we'll get to 4 at some point. So yeah, let's see, what else is there to say? Why is this like the first track again? That's weird. Anyway, so yeah, this is the problem. Is it like that? It's just like there's so much to say that I don't know if I'm gonna get to it all. Without just like going over every minute of the game, which I don't really want to do. Let me just flip through this and let's just see. Okay. I didn't really talk about the boss fights. Those are pretty cool. The first one with, okay. Well, actually, before I talk about the boss fights, so, yeah. Well, fuck. I don't want to forget to talk about the card keys. We'll talk about that after the boss fights or the PAL key system. Not that part. Actually, I meant the area pan keys. Anyway, so the bosses are pretty cool. You got like Revolver Ocelot. Each of the bosses are also a character. That was what I was trying to get at earlier. But their fights are also very reflective of them. So like Revolver Ocelot, he can like shoot his bullets on the walls and they'll like ricochet over to you and stuff. It's like a really good first boss fight to kind of get you used to the mechanics and stuff. And then you got Vulcan Raven and the tanks. You gotta like throw grenades in there. So that's another cool boss fight. It's just like a really like unique solutions to fighting these bosses. Like the Gray Fox fight is more about hand-to-hand combat, hand to hand. It is the basis for all combat. Only a fool trusts his life to a weapon. So yeah, I like, have some of these lines memorized because they don't let you skip some of them. They do have some skippable cutscenes in case you do die and have to go back. Um, but yeah, some of them you can't skip, which is a little annoying. But it's not. It's a really minor thing. It's like that, and then like the Metal Gear fight. It's a lot of Gray Fox moments that you can't skip apparently. Also, I love Gray Fox's like sacrifice at the end. His character arc comes together really well. Yeah, he's a great character. All of the characters are really great characters, but so yeah, there's that, and then what else? There's the Sniper Wolf fights. Obviously, those are really iconic and really well done, I think. And what else? Who else is there? Psycho Mantis I already mentioned, and Vulcan Raven the second time around is a cool fight because you're fighting him in this like warehouse. And what I always do is I set claymore mines around. What you're like supposed to do, or like one of the ways that you can kill him that I used to do it, is you can shoot Nikita missiles, which are these remote controlled missiles, and then you would go after him. But he used to like kind of blow him up when he saw them coming for him, so it's kind of hard to do. But what I like to do now is I set up claymore mines around in the aisles, and then I'll shoot the Nikita missiles, or just wait for him with the claymore mines. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So you get Sniper Wolf. You got the Heimdee fight. That's a really classic, iconic fight where you shoot it down with a missile launcher and all that. That's pretty much it for those fights. And then there's an escape sequence, which is really cool. You're like on this, you're on this Jeep, and you're like shooting. You can. There's even a first-person view where you can go into first person. It's a little awkward because you have to hold triangle and squares to shoot. So you hold triangle. You have to kind of do a bit of this with your thumb, like kind of do that. And then also at the same time, do a bit of that with the analog or whatnot. So that's interesting. But yeah. So I don't know. Boss fights are pretty cool. What I want to talk about is it also has sort of a Metroidvania system I was talking about earlier with the level card keys. There's seven or eight levels of card keys. I think there's 8. 7? Let's see if we can find that. There's 7 or 8 levels of I think it's just 7 actually. And you get one after basically each of the bosses. So yeah. So which is really cool. So, and then those will open up new areas in the older areas. So backtracking can be a thing, although the game kind of leads you backtracked a lot, but like you can explore new rooms and stuff and get certain items early. Like there's the body armor that you don't get later until the blast furnace if you don't get it earlier in the nuclear warhead storage building or whatnot, in a door that's like a level 6 door or something. So if you don't think to go back to that door, which a lot of people wouldn't, you can pick up that item later, but you can get it earlier to use in like the hind fight and stuff. So that's just really cool that's a thing. Yeah, and then like there's a part where you're going up this tower, and that's kind of a boss fight, I guess. But like you're shooting behind you and stuff. Actually, wow, this is funny. It actually yeah, see, it even shows you like right here. Take a side trip to the armory to get the body armor or whatever before you go up the communications tower. Huh. It's interesting. Oh, and there's like an escape. There's a part where you're like in this prison or whatever after this torture thing. This is actually where you get the multiple endings. You either submit to the torture and then you get the Otacon ending, or you go through the torture doing the butt mashing and whatnot and you get the Meryl ending. But if you don't... Oh, wow. There's a part where Johnny can fall asleep. I didn't know that. If you don't... Basically, if you don't get Otacon, if you don't call Otacon to come, Gray Fox will come and save you instead. So that's like a little bonus, little Easter egg there. There's so much of that kind of stuff. That's what I love about about the game. Is that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a system, okay, there's the iconic, obviously Snake in his box and all of that. He sneaks around and he can, you know, uh, hide inside the box or whatnot. But there's there's a little trick that you can do with that most people wouldn't know about, and that is that you can use the boxes. Each of them has some like a place written on them, and so if you get in the back of one of like 3 trucks in the game, it'll actually take you to that place. So it'll backtrack you there. It's just a little travel system that they used to have in the old Metal Gear games as well. So it's a reference to that, but it's just like it's really cool. Like that's a thing that you can do in this game, and I didn't know about that for the longest time either. Like it's just crazy. Um, sorry. I'm looking at this Psycho Mantis fight, and they're using the thermal goggles for some reason. I wonder why they're doing that. So yeah, it's just neat. Um, and of course, there's a lot of story and stuff. Like some of the character moments, like when you first get introduced to Otacon, like they fucking ruined it in Twin Snakes or whatever. But he has like some of the funniest lines, like "This is just like one of my Japanese animes," and like Gray Fox is like, "Fine, you can watch from in there then," and then like later on he's like, "You work alone? Are you an otaku too? An otaku too? An otaku too, or whatever?" And he's like, "You can call me Otacon," and it's like it stands for Otaku Convention or whatever. And it's like, what the fuck, Otacon? Like, I love that his name is Otacon, but like that's what I think of when I hear Otacon or Otacon, as Meryl calls him at the fucking end, which is really dumb. Where's Otacon? God. Bunch of bullshit. Anyway, this is funny. So, yeah. So yeah. So I talked about the card keys. There's different areas that you don't even have to go to that you can like open with those card key doors. And there's a bunch of items you don't even have to get, but I always get them. Like there's the mine detector, the thermal goggles, and the night vision goggles, and body armor. All these items. You have smokes that you use for one part on these infrared lasers. I mean, I guess that's a few parts. Infrared lasers. But you can just use the thermal goggles and it does the same exact thing. The smokes actually take away from your life or whatever. But that's interesting. So, yeah, there's like multiple ways of doing a lot of stuff because Kojima's like, what are the odds that everyone's going to get everything? No, there's not. So let's put a lot of different ways of doing a lot of different things in the game, so you can progress how you want to progress, or you might think of this way rather than this way, or this and that, so that kind of stuff. It's just really cool. So yeah, and just the fact that it was like a stealth game was pretty cool. I just think it's a really revolutionary sort of game for its time, and still really you can feel the impact on like the cinematic games that we have today. This is one of those games that really made it, like the cinematic elements of games, more important. All games, not all games, but a lot of games past this wanted to add more of those elements because they saw Kojima do it, and this game became huge, and this is a really big game, groundbreaking game. And since Kojima did it, they wanted to do it, at that point. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about Metal Gear Solid. I don't know. Maybe I didn't even talk about all the stuff I wanted to talk about, but okay, let's talk about the weapons too. So there's weapons. You got like, I've actually talked about most of them already, but like the SOCOM gun is iconic, and once you get the silencer for it, it's like that is Solid Snake's gun. Like, fuck, I want a gun like that. That is awesome. Like, it's really cool. And then yeah, like the FAMAS, that's like a machine gun. You got like no shotgun in this game, not until like the third game to get a shotgun or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. You get a missile launcher and a sniper rifle and stuff. There's also like the stealth elements in this game were pretty cool. Just like sneaking around and like backing yourself up against stuff, and like you can like crawl under stuff, and like all that kind of stuff, and just kneel down or like hide in a box, and the guard will come by. Oh, just a box, you know. As long as you're not like in an evasion or a alert status, he'll just be like, oh, it's just a box, and he'll just move on. It's just funny, like a lot of stuff like that. It's just cool. I don't know. Anyway, so this is a very influential game, is my point, and I just wanted to. I'm gonna give it a 10, obviously out of 10, but I wanted to show off my Metal Gear collection here. Okay, so before I get to that, I'm giving it a 10. Obviously, it's like I said earlier, everything is super well balanced. The music, the gameplay, the storyline, the characters, um, the atmosphere, the graphics, everything, the cinematicness, the directing of the cutscenes and stuff for the time, and especially now, even it is a very impressive game, and it still holds up as a beautiful start to a wonderful franchise. Um, and the game means a lot to me because of my history with it, and I just played the shit out of it, and I played it to death. You know, I played every little aspect of it, except for like getting all the cutscenes and whatnot on that. But yeah, so but I wanted to show off like some of the other stuff. So obviously, I played this a lot back in the day, and then later on, I got Metal Gear Solid 2. This is just some copy I got like later on, I think. But yeah, so I got Metal Gear Solid 2, so that's, you know, that's cool. And I really liked that game back in the day, I remember. Pretty sure this is my original copy of Metal Gear Solid 3 from back in the day. But the thing is that I remember my brother got me this copy, the Metal Gear Solid 3 disc on it. This one, I believe, doesn't work very well or something. I think maybe we eventually got it to work. It like would go through the first part of the Virtuous mission, and then it's like, I don't know, like it stopped at some point, I remember, and it would just like really scratch up. Fuck, that's what I forgot to talk about. Alright, the reason I always play this game now, Metal Gear Solid 1 that is, on the virtual console, on the PSN that is because this game, actually right here, this version, these, or at least the first disc, is destroyed, because this is what would always happen to every one of my copies of Metal Gear. Oh god, it's really bad. I don't even know if you can see that. Oh god, it's awful. You see that, like, that scratches and shit up there? This used to be my friend Mayab's copy. It actually doesn't work very well anymore, so at some point I just inherited this, I remember. But and this isn't my original copy of Metal Gear Solid 1. It was my brother's game, so he probably has the original copy. But I bought this like later on at like Disc Replay or something. But I don't use these anymore. I don't, because actually I have I think the original manual sitting over in my manual drawer there. Actually, these discs are in really nice shape, which is nice, because mine certainly weren't from back in the day. Also, as I mentioned in the Tomba video, I didn't take very good care of like my discs and stuff back in the day. But yeah, so the original Metal Gear Solid, the first game there, had a lot of problems with loading the cutscenes if the disc was even like slightly scratched at all. Like my Gray Fox, every time I did the Gray Fox fight as a kid, I had to do it more and more and more and more and more times, because it could never load through the cutscene. It would always get this disc error or whatever. Eventually I got through it or whatnot, but I had that problem a lot throughout the game, actually. That's the most infamous scene that I remember, is that one. And pretty sure like the Revolver Ocelot cutscene after his fight was pretty messed up. But I never had this problem, obviously, on the PSN version, and that's the only reason. That's the reason I play that version every time, is because the discs are so easy to wear down. This is why I always recommend the PSN version, because they'll skip like super easily, or they just will not load properly and whatnot. So that's one downside to the physical disc. So same kind of thing happened here with my Metal Gear Solid 3 disc there. Let's actually look and see if this is, oh, yeah. You can definitely see that. Maybe you can't, but I fucking can. Yeah, you see those fucking lines there? God damn. That is scratched as shit. Yeah, so this is definitely that original copy still. But the nice thing is that the secondary disc with the Metal Gear 1 and 2 there still works A-okay, and it works fine, so that's cool. That's how I originally experienced those games. Yeah. So, and then, of course, later on, I'm just going to go in order here, because, I don't know, I'll talk about those later. Actually, I got, if we're going in order, I'm pretty sure I got Portable Ops around the time when it came out. I still have this friggin' sticker on there, I don't know why. For $18 apparently is what I got it for. Maybe because I couldn't get that sticker off. But I got this, and then Portable Ops Plus as well, back then, around the time before Metal Gear Solid 4 came out. So I definitely played those as well. But yeah, and then I remember when Metal Gear 4 came out, this is still my original copy of Metal Gear Solid 4 right here, that I bought a PS3 for, which is pretty crazy, just because I was such a big fan of this franchise. Yeah, it's still in decent-ish shape. No giant scratches here. It still plays and everything. This is still the copy I use every single time I play Metal Gear Solid 4, so... yeah. So, this is still the original one that I bought back in 2008 or whatever, and I bought my PS3 like for, I don't know, like $500, $400, $300. I don't know how much it was back then. It was a lot less than probably it started at. Probably $300 or something. Just to play this, you know, like, and I remember being so hyped for this game, but the hype, it was worth the hype, you know, like it actually lived up and surpassed the hype. So that's why this is my third favorite game there, and we'll get to that at some point. I want to get to the other Metal Gear games, obviously, as well, but I just wanted to talk kind of about the collection here. So I got this a lot, like, later on. It's just it's the Essential Collection. I remember my friend actually had this back in the day. This isn't... I don't believe this was his copy. I think I got this at, like, Disc Replay or something. This comes with all of the... Yeah, you've seen that from over there or whatever when I showed it earlier, but it comes with, like, all of the, you know, the first 3 games there. I think they kind of released this in order to kind of gear up for Metal Gear Solid 4 there. So, yeah. So that's pretty cool. And yeah. What else? Let's see. I don't know where... Maybe I don't have... Wait a second. That can't be right, can it? I don't know where my copy of Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance is. Maybe I don't have it anymore, actually. That might be one I still have to get. I don't have the Xbox versions of those games either. So, yeah. And of course I have the Game Boy game, which this copy of it, I actually had to rebuy at one of the Midwest Gaming Classics more recently, so... but I did have that as a kid, and I have that manual for that from when I was a kid, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, this copy of the Twin Snakes I bought a few years ago, and I've reviewed that already. You know, whatever. Don't need to get into that one. I got this copy of the Metal Gear Solid 3 soundtrack there from my friend Nick, because he's in Japan or whatnot. Actually, oh wow, there's multiple discs in there. I didn't even realize. How do you get at the other one? Oh, there we go. So there's disc 2 there, and that's pretty cool. I haven't even really opened this up much yet. Apparently there's some like camos that you can get in game on the on the Japanese version, if you have that or whatnot. So yeah, I showed off Portable Ops and Portable Ops Plus, which I had back in high school. I remember playing those. It was pretty good. Definitely got Metal Gear Acid when that back in the day. That's a pretty good spin-off game. Definitely enjoyed that. Is that Sniper Wolf on the back? It looks like her. No, it's not. Oh, it's the girl from the game. She kind of, yeah, whatever. Anyway, she's holding a sniper that looks like Sniper Wolf's sniper. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so definitely really cool. The Acid, the first one anyway. I never really played much of the second one, but I do remember this being pretty cool, like a card game tactical sort of version of Metal Gear, and they have like Snatcher references and stuff in here. That's neat. I have the digital graphic novel of Metal Gear Solid 1 there, which is like the comics, but they like they've added like animations and stuff to resemble the Peace Walker kind of style of cutscenes, which is pretty cool. There was a second one of these too, and I don't have that physically, but these are included on the Legacy Collection here, and I'll get to that in a second. Peace Walker, this is my copy from when I bought it back in the day. Definitely bought this like maybe not opening day, but like or release day or whatever, but pretty soon after. I enjoyed it. It was alright. It's not one of my more favorite Metal Gear games, but it's still a pretty good Metal Gear game, especially for a portable experience. More recently, I played Peace Walker on the HD collection, and this is generally how I play Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, Metal Gear 1 and 2 also, is through this on my PS3 there. Really good collection, for sure. And it also comes with Peace Walker, and you can play that on your portable, or on not portably, on your PS3 there, so that's helpful. So yeah, this is a great collection. You should definitely get this if you're looking to get into Metal Gear. This is like $20 and you get like all 3 games, like up-resed and stuff. Very good. This is definitely how I'd recommend you get into it. Get a PS3, because then you get the first one on the PSN. You get this, and you're pretty good to go. Then Metal Gear Solid 4 is like like $2, like at GameStop. So, and then of course I have VR missions. I have my original VR missions upstairs that I bought from back in the day. I talked about that already. Yeah, I got Metal Gear Rising. I actually got this one for free. I actually sold my original copy of Metal Gear Rising. Well, the original copy I had was Mayab's copy that he gave to me because he didn't like the game. So, and then I got rid of that, and then I rebought the game at some point for like $4, but I got it for free because disc replay, and then because you get your 6th game free or whatever, they had that deal going on. So what ended up happening was I sold that one again, and then I got this one for free again from disc replay. So, and I do like that game. It's fine. It's just like I did a whole review on it, but for years and years, it was kind of just this thing where I hated the fact that it existed after 4 and whatnot. But anyway, and then there is the Legacy collection. This one is actually the one with the book, and that is sealed there. So that's really cool. I don't even know what the book really looks like, but I have the open Legacy collection over there too. Actually, that one's sealed as well. All right, so it comes with Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. Those are on the Metal Gear 3 disc there. You got Metal Gear Solid. It says Metal Gear Solid VR missions there, so that's actually cool. Where is Integral? I know that said that on here somewhere, right? Maybe it's not on here. I swear I saw that it said Integral on here somewhere. Maybe that's on there or whatever. These two right here are the digital graphic novels, I'm pretty sure. And then Peace Walker, you've got Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and 4. So this is kind of the ultimate collection. So if you want to get this, you can. This is a little bit more expensive than the HD collection though. Getting games like more individually is just easier. Let's take a look at this quick. Is this the one that says it has Integral on it? I swear to God, it said it had integral on one of these things. I'm not crazy, right? I don't know. Maybe I am crazy, but anyway, it was on the trailer or whatever that it said that. Like I think is really what it was. So maybe they never added that or whatever. But um, so that's what you've seen. But this is just like a standalone copy. I could open this one. You know, I don't want to open this, but because this is like collectible one. But this I could open. You know, I don't really want to, but I have it. I have them in open. You know, I have those for the collection basically. Obviously, I've got the NES games, the Metal Gear and Snake's Revenge there. The only things I'm really missing are like the Xbox versions of those games, which I don't really need, and they're not really that expensive. The Vita version of, I mean, all the HD collection, like the Xbox 360 one, and so I didn't collect any of the Xbox ones, but like the Vita version of the collection there also. Metal Gear Acid 2 and a few little loose ends like that I don't have, but yeah, so, and then of course I've got the Metal Gear Solid 5 collector edition there. So what's funny about Metal Gear Solid 5 is, where did I put those? Oh, they're there. What's funny about 5 is I bought all the games individually, like at Disc Replay. So I got this, and then this I had to buy online, I remember, because this is actually kind of harder to find. I always saw the PS3 version around, but I never saw the Ground Zeroes, the standalone one. And then I ended up getting this for like $20. These were like $5 or $6, like $5 each or something like that. So I have those. But what's also funny is then I actually own these games again through the collectible, through here or whatnot. And I have the Steelbook case there, which, this has the DVD for with all the Eli stuff and all of that in it. So that's cool. And I got the big hand there, from 5 there. This thing's always a pain in the ass to put back together. It's okay, there we go. So I got that. So that's pretty cool. And then, yeah, I just wanted to show all that off. And then I have a few other... Oh, God. I've got to go and grab those too, don't I? All right, so this is a book I picked up recently about Metal Gear, and it's kind of like the legacy of it and stuff. I want to read this. This is definitely cool looking. It has the 5 hand on it, so it's like all of Metal Gear, it talks about all of Metal Gear. This is actually... Oh, why is that on there? Okay. This is actually a really nice, pristine copy of a different guide that I had back in the day. Well, I mean, it's the same guide, but this is a Metal Gear Solid 4 guide, and it actually has, like, the history of Metal Gear and stuff, and it has, like, all the stuff to get you caught up for Metal Gear Solid 4. Like, this is, like, fucking awesome. This is the coolest Metal Gear thing. I remember I used to, like, take it around and just look at it, because it was, like, there's so much fucking information in this book. This is a really nice copy that I got, I think at Disc Replay, like, more recently, and it was pretty cheap. For the longest time, I didn't have my old one, because my fucking friend had borrowed it, or whatever. This is my original copy of it that I had from back in the day. It's worn, a bit, but it's still really cool. That's not too worn. It's just worn on the outside, really. But he put it in with his fucking yearbooks or whatever, because it looks like one of those, and then he ended up finding it later on. But it's cool to have that as well. But I'm glad I have, like, a really pristine copy of that, because it's like the Metal Gear Bible right there. Of course, I have the guides for all the games. So this is like the Substance Guide, or Subsistence for Metal Gear Solid 3. So I wonder if this has, like... Okay, this is just... Yeah, it's just like the Metal Gear Solid 3 guide. As you can see, I got that for $3. Fuck yeah. That's a great deal. This was not even that expensive either. This was, like, really cheap too. This is like a different version of that guide. Like, it's got like this little flap, and then you like bring this out or whatever, and then it's like, that's the guide. And they're all like the same fucking guide. But yeah. So this is like a collectible Metal Gear Solid 3 guide or whatever. Like this thing. I don't know. I bought it because it was probably cheap. It's the limited edition version. It's like, I'm a fucking Metal Gear fan. I gotta have this shit, you know. If I see it cheap, I'm gonna get it. This is my original Metal Gear Solid 3 guide from back in the day. I traded my friend some stuff for it. I remember it's a little worn, but it's like you can see, it's the same fucking guide again. But like I remember using this a lot back in the day. This is a really helpful guide, you know, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, my friend didn't even have like the fucking game, if I remember right. I had the Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty guide. I don't think I've ever used this actually. This is something most of these guides I got like more recently. I didn't even have the Metal Gear 1 guide back in the day. Metal Gear Solid 1 guide back in the day. The only one I actually have from back in the day is this. So it was interesting. But it's funny because most of the stuff I just like kind of looked up online to like do all the dog tags and stuff in like Metal Gear Solid 2. And then I have the Twin Snakes guide, which I don't know if I really used much when I did the Twin Snakes. Look at that artwork on the back. That's awesome. That's awesome, but that's not what the game is like. Game looks like shit. Anyway, so yeah, that's my Metal Gear collection, and of course the most important thing. I mean, I have some other Metal Gear stuff. I have like I have a magazine I'll bring out when we do Metal Gear Solid 4 that we used to like pine over and like look over and like. I have a little poster that came out of there from Metal Gear Solid 4. I have a Metal Gear Solid 3 poster actually that I think was in the guide, but like the front part of it, you know what, it might still be at my mom's place. The front part of it is Snake with the crocodile hat, which is funny. Big Boss, that is. Spoilers for Metal Gear Solid 3. Fuck, I've spoiled something from every Metal Gear game now. God damn it. Every main Metal Gear game. Of course, the most important piece of my Metal Gear collection here, the demo disc that I first experienced Metal Gear Solid 1 on. Yeah. Just trying to think if there's any other like Metal Gear stuff. I have my Metal Gear Solid 4 t-shirt, which my friend gave me. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so I've worn that in the video before. This is my Metal Gear Les Enfants Terribles project. That's the Twin Snakes, you know, the solid and liquid there. That project, my friend gave this to me the other year for my birthday, so love this shirt. I unfortunately ripped it a little bit, but you know, I love it though. Still, it's still a great fucking shirt. I actually need to get some more like Metal Gear shirts or something because the artwork in this series is insane. Oh, all right. Speaking of which, last time we do this, god damn it. All right. Oh, my legs. Oh fuck, I can't even imagine how long this goddamn video is gonna be. Oh god, why am I bringing these out? Okay. Holy fucking shit. You don't even know. This is... Oh my god. You're about to find out. Fuck me in the ass. Alright. Holy shit. I also have the Metal Gear Solid art books, which are fucking incredible. This is Metal Gear Solid 5 one here. You know, it's got like all the... There's like the Metal Gear and stuff. Pretty cool. It's very Proto-Rex. You know, Metal Gear Rex or whatever. Fucking Quiet. Best character. Love her. She's great. Not just because she's hot. She's a good character, you know. Good old Ocelot there. Troy Baker Ocelot or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, so I've got that. That's, yeah, so, but, oh my god. And then you have fucking this massive piece of shit. Love it. It's great. It's fucking fantastic. I'm so glad to have this, but holy shit, this thing is fucking heavy, man. Okay. And this. Okay. Alright. It's the art of Metal Gear Solid 1 through 4. and it's 2 massive fucking volumes. Oh my god. Fuck me. These are like... These are so big. Holy shit. Okay. The gallery works or whatever. Okay. These are like really nice too. I love them, but see if I can't show something. There's like that substance art or subsistence artwork. Olga, that's the theme that's playing right now actually. Some Metal Gear 2 stuff. Good old Gray Fox there from the... That's the VR Missions logo. That's pretty badass. You get the idea. It's just like, oh yeah, they got like little blurbs about it and stuff. That's neato. Yeah, I fucking love... Oh god. Is that... The fucking strange love from fucking Peace Walker there. I just want to kill her because fucking that torture sequence was ass. Wait, was that Rising or Revengeance or whatever? Oh no, this... Okay, never mind. Anyway, so yeah, so there's that, and then yeah, there was some Peace Walker stuff in there. I like Peace Walker, and I like the art obviously for Peace Walker. It's great, but okay. So that was the gallery works, and then this is the studio works book. Okay, and then this is more like, you know, just like, yeah, like stuff, concept art and stuff. It's the cool thing about VR Missions, actually, the game, is that you 100% the game, do everything. You actually get to see Metal Gear Ray before Metal Gear Solid 2 had even, like, come out, or, like, I don't even know, maybe it wasn't even announced at that point. I don't know. But it's like really early, you got to see Metal Gear Ray on there. So that's pretty cool. Alright, just set this down here for a second. Alright. Oh my god. So yeah, dude, Metal Gear Solid 1 is the shit. And it spawned the legacy of all of the shit that I just showed off. And it's pretty fucking incredible. And it's one of the greatest games of our time. Of all time, really. Because our time is of all time for games anyway, like, you know, for sure. So, God, I can't even... the game just means a lot to me, and it means everything to me, really. Just like I said with Tomba, it's like... But it got me through the hard times, and it still inspires me to... okay, this tells you anything. My whole first terrible book that I wrote, the first book I ever finished, that is, and the second book, which I never finished, of that book, and even I did side projects that were like Metal Gear Solid 3 and stuff, like, you know, like earlier versions, earlier stories in the timeline and whatnot. My first book was just an insane, like, rip-off of Metal Gear Solid, basically. Like, that's how much I love this franchise, is that I wrote a Metal Gear Solid, essentially a fan fiction, if you want to put it like that. It was, you know, but that was a book that I wrote. Like, that's crazy. It's just like, that's how much this stuff has influenced me. Oh yeah, I never showed this off. This is my Metal Gear Solid 4 limited edition. I actually bought this one of the Midwest Gaming Classics. I remember... So yeah, I actually have a second copy of Metal Gear Solid 4 now I'm thinking about it. Wow, this is a really nice copy too. This is like perfect condition. Love this. Yeah, so if I ever, like, my other copy doesn't work for some reason. I remember watching this documentary that's on here. Oh wow, I didn't know this came with the soundtrack too. That's fucking awesome, actually. This documentary that's on here, I remember watching that on YouTube like a long time ago, so that's pretty cool. I love Metal Gear Solid 4 as well, because, like, not to get into it, because, like, I'm gonna review that at some point too, but there's a fucking podcast in the game about the game that, like, is a step by step through the game, and I thought that was actually lost to time, other than the fact that it's on YouTube. But actually, in game, there's a server. There's somebody made a server. I have the link for it, like on my links or whatever. Somebody made a server to where you can still get all of the old items and stuff that you had to download uh, from back in the day. You can still get those now because of that server that somebody had like made or whatever. And so you can still get those podcasts and whatever. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it's neat. So that's my collector edition for that as well. Anyway, Metal Gear Solid just it means everything to me. It's like my favorite video game franchise. I love Kojima and his wackiness and all the crazy shit that he does, and his brilliant storyline of just like so many things. And it's something that brings all me and my friends together. And I remember back in the day, me and Mayab especially was another big fan of this franchise. I don't know if that was because of me or not. I think that was because of me because I like got him hooked on the games or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's a game that I used to just play like a lot. Like I know I mentioned that, but like I used to just run through it just to do it. You know, like I wasn't even like a speedrunner or anything. I just did it because it was awesome because I loved that game. You know, um, just something I did like all the time and yeah. Um, to me, it's just iconic. You know, it's the coolest video game franchise, and it perfectly melds video games and cinematic, and so video games and story. To me, anyway, it melds those perfectly together. Um, I know a lot of people think that there's too much story, but I think that if you go in expecting that, like you know you're gonna get that with a Metal Gear game. There's gonna be a lot of story, so just gotta go in expecting that, and you won't be disappointed. But if you're looking for just like a straight action game, this is not the game for you. This is an experience. This isn't just a game. This is more than just a game. You know, it's a way of life or something. I don't know, but it's a franchise worth experiencing even to this day. I put at least two people through experiencing it last year, and it held up just as well to them. Um, Other than their gripes with two, but we'll get to that later. I actually really like two. I mean, it's great. I know it's the weakest one, but other than like Peace Walker, but we didn't talk about that. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know like how to express all of the things about Metal Gear that I wanted to say. I think I did a better job expressing that with my Tombow review of like how much it actually means to me and what it means and why it means this and that to me. But there's just so much to talk about with Metal Gear. It's like it's impossible to talk about it all without doing like a 7-hour video or something, which I don't imagine this is a 7-hour video. Okay, no, it's only going to be a few hours if anything. I just wanted to get it all out because I love Metal Gear and it means a lot to me. And yeah, and I want to talk about the other games too, and maybe at that point I'll get into more story stuff. I mean, I got into some story stuff here, but I also don't want to spoil it for people who still want to play these games. You know, if somebody stumbles across this video and hasn't played these games yet, I want them to be able to go and play these games and still experience them because they're very worth experiencing still. I mean, it's still an amazing franchise, and it blows my mind how amazing this franchise is, and I just if it was a thing that I could do, I would get everyone to play these games. You know what I mean? Like that's how much I love this series and these games in general. Um, and as much as this game innovated and blew everyone's mind for the time, it's amazing how only a few years later, literally like what, like 3 years later, in 2001, they released a sequel to the game, of which the music we are listening to right now, and this is why I'm bringing this up, that was visually and gameplay wise and all of that stuff like a far step beyond this game. I mean, I still... There's still a lot I prefer about the original game and whatnot, but it's just such an innovative and impressive sequel. And then only a few years later, they release an even more impressive and innovative sequel. And then only a few years after that, they released Metal Gear Solid 4. And then, so within 10 years, it was only 10 years, because it was from 98 to 2008. 10 years, they finished one of the greatest storylines and gaming franchises. You know, anything past that, it's like, whatever. Those 4 games, they're such milestone games for those 10 years. It's insane how much they innovated and like pushed forward gaming in general within that time. And yeah, like this is crazy. And we'll get to those sometime, because I definitely have to. Now that I've reviewed the first one, or talked about it, or just shared my feelings about it, or feelings about Metal Gear, or whatever the fuck this all was, I'll have to get to the other ones and sort of see what I can say about them as well. You know, the other thing I find about Metal Gear is that it's actually easier for me to talk about these things with my friends, because then they start bringing things up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this thing and that thing, and then like I could sit here, and if I had my friends, we could talk about Metal Gear for like 10 hours straight or something, you know, but for sure. But I don't know. We're just going to end it for now, and then to be continued, you know, right? There's going to be more Metal Gear reviews in the future. I'm planning on doing the rest of the games soon, because, you know, like, that's what I do. I just do them all at once kind of thing. I just go through them and kind of try to, yeah, do that. But that's the other thing about this is, like, I just, like, there's so much to say, but it's like, a lot of it I don't even really think about anymore. Like, the game's just really great to me because of a lot of things. I've voiced my opinion about why a lot of the things are great, but it's like, I just take a lot of that for granted now because I played the game so many times. With the later games, I haven't played them nearly as many times, so there's still a lot to kind of maybe process and say about those ones as well. And the development and the characters and the storyline and all that. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens on the next ones. And then, yeah. So, cool. It's a great game. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 series, franchise. Play them, you know? They're top tier shit. So, till next time, this has been JZNES saying keep it classic. Stick around for more reviews, underrated games, and I'll see you guys in the next one. JZ out.